Dun, da, da, da. It's another Tuesday. Here we are. Um, it has been a really busy day for me for some reason today, and I'm so grateful and honored and happy to have had it be so busy and productive and successful and delightful. So that's where I'm coming from today. So for those of you who are new to the Toxic Relationship Cleaner group, my name is Brittany Green. First off, I apologize for my real down home appearance. Like I said, it's been a busy day, a lot of working from home. And so I really just didn't feel like I needed to get that much dressed today. And it's cold outside. It's crazy. My heater's on. Colorado always has like one last bit of snow before Mother's Day. And we got it. So anywho, yes, so I am coming to you with this new topic. Initially, whenever I promoted our Tuesday talk, it was going to be about how to understand that or how to know that you deserve better. And while that is really important, what's more important is understanding all the key and tell signs that lie within you that let you know that you should be either leaning towards or moving away from something. So here's the big topic of anxiety or intuition. And given the recent dialogue that we've had together, I thought that this was probably I just felt more inspired. My intuition kicked in and said that this is something I should probably talk about. So that's what I wanted to focus on today. So as usual, for some reason, I always come up with five key ingredients to help you understand certain topics. So this is also 5 key ingredients as to understanding what is different between anxiety and intuition. So number 1, anxiety is very loud. It is so loud. It is scary loud and always is trying to, hey girl, hey. It's always trying to, just be the loudest voice in the room. And whenever you compare that to your intuition, which is this soft, quiet knowing. Thanks, Amber. I appreciate that. I really love this topic too. When you compare your anxiety to your soft, quiet knowing, your intuition, it is so much different. It is something that is, it's like that gentle nudge. It's that whisper in the wind. It's just so much more calm and peaceful. And it feels, the way that your intuition, whenever it tells you something, it just feels more peaceful. Whereas anxiety itself is just, again, really loud. So, and Amber, as Amber said on the side, anxiety is the ego. It is most certainly the ego, which is why it's really loud. Okay, so number 2, anxiety makes you question your initial feelings. When you are anxious, you may have had a feeling or like kind of a nudge that you should be doing something, right? Maybe you heard that soft, quiet voice saying, hey, girl, you probably don't want to do that. And then anxiety's like, but are you sure you don't want to do that? Because if you don't do that, like X, Y, and Z, and did you know that there's this blah, 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 and I don't know, like, do you remember the last time? And so anxiety is so much more confusing and conflicted and has, it just totally makes you kind of question your judgment and question everything that you initially felt. Whereas intuition is that initial feeling. It is that initial nudge. Again, is that quiet sense of peace and understanding that you should be doing something. Literally, when you meet somebody for the first time, typically you have kind of a gut experience. Either you love them or you hate them, right? Not always hate them, or maybe you get like a really unsettled feeling. And that would be your intuition telling you, hey, maybe this person's not for you, or maybe this situation's not for you. But instead, anxiety is like, oh, well, that looks like fun. Maybe you should do that. Or maybe you shouldn't do that. You should run away, right? And you might either, lean in or, lean away from something that's good for you. The next is number 3, anxiety lives in the head and intuition lives in the gut and in the heart. Now, the reason for this is because anxiety is, okay, so anxiety, the ego, as beautiful Amber pointed out, is really connected to certain experiences that you've already had. It's connected to your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. So anxiety is a thought process that yields a feeling, right? Whereas your intuition is, it lives in your gut, because your gut houses all of your feelings. It creates like 90% of your neurotransmitters. So, dopamine, serotonin, GABA, all those, norepinephrine, epinephrine, all of those are like 90% of them are created in your gut, and then other areas of so they travel from your gut to your head, meaning your gut is like the second place for like this, your second brain. And then you have the heart, which is your intuition as well, because your heart, as God says, protect your heart, because you need to, or else bad things might happen, or you'll end up in bad situations. And he doesn't say all that extra stuff. I just added that. But your heart center, it has the strongest electromagnetic field in our being. And because of that, it means that we pick up on energies really quickly. So if you are connected, if you are in this group, you're probably an empath of some sort, which is why you've been, the caretaker for all these relationships you've had. And your heart center is going to initially give you that intuitive knowing about a situation. And so just realize where you feel that feeling. Do you feel you're feeling in your head, which is anxious, like really like confused, loud, questioning, or do you feel that place in your heart that's quiet, centered, grounded, and kind of picking up the energy around it? Okay. So number 4, anxiety has many different scenarios, and your intuition only has one. So before I get into that, I just want to make a comment that Amber wrote on the side. She said she had no idea about the 90%. Yes, and that's something that they don't teach us, and it's just something that I happened to pick up through school and a bunch of different educational journey tracks or whatever. So it's crazy to think, but yeah, the mitochondria is what creates most of our neurotransmitters, which is why your gut health is so fucking important. I am a person who preaches that a lot. I should practice it more, but I'm working on it, as we all are. Anyway, so anxiety has different scenarios and intuition has one. So typically whenever you are met with this situation, your anxious mind is going to give you like 15 billion different storylines or scenarios or ways to work through it or whatever. Whereas your intuition is going to just tell you, I don't think you should do that. I think you should do that. You really need to do that. And it's just this or that. Anxiety is going to make you, again, question, be confused, very loud, and many different scenarios play out, so much so that you get kind of, ruffled because you're so overwhelmed with all of the choices that anxiety yields to you. So that's another way to tell the difference. And then last but not least, number 5, anxiety makes you question the things that you do. So if you do something based off of anxiety, you typically question what you did later. Versus your intuition, I would say always. I'm going to use always because I just think that that's better. Always makes you feel proud for listening to it and following through. So, not that hindsight isn't 20/20, but if you're on the other side of a situation and you're trying to assess whether or not you had listened to your intuition or your anxious mind, 9 out of 10 times, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to feel badly by listening to your anxious mind and making a choice from there versus listening to your intuition and leaning into your intuition, which told you quietly, confidently, resoundingly one thing to do, and you did it, and then you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I did that. Perfect example is me saying no to the last toxic relationship that I had. I'll never forget. He was kind of like stringing me along, and finally I was like, I don't really need this. I'm good, dude. Thank you. And of course it's like this because back then it was like texting on your phone, whatever, right? Back then. Well, I guess back then. It's been a while since I've been on a dating site or online. Anyway. And then another time I felt really good or really proud of myself for leaning into my intuition was going to grad school. I thought I was going to go to medical school here in Colorado, and instead I ended up getting some random offer to Pepperdine University out in California. And I was like, should I do it? And everything inside me was saying yes. And then my parents were also like, yeah, you should do it. And I was like, okay, let's do this. Not knowing a soul, best decision ever made. Leaving my agency to go full-time in my business. That was a very quiet, confident, you need to do this sort of experience. But my anxious mind was like, but, thinking all of these like the worst case scenarios for every situation I could think of. And instead of listening to my anxious mind, which would have kept me stuck, not allowed me to reach all of you and talk to all of you, I leaned into my intuition and then had great results. So think about that. Do that. 5 steps. So anxiety is loud. Intuition is quiet. Anxiety makes you question your initial feelings. Intuition is your initial feeling. Anxiety lives in the head. Intuition lives in the gut and in the heart. Anxiety has many different scenarios, whereas intuition only has one strong, confident one. And anxiety makes you do things that you question later. And your intuition makes you feel proud that you listened and followed through. So it is. Amen. Hopefully my inspiration or inspired shift or switch up was well worth your time. And I hope that you leave a comment, start some discussions about this later. I did want to mention one last thing. If you haven't seen it already, I wrote a book. It's so funny. I was showing this book to my mom, and I was like, look, Mom, I wrote a book. But look, I don't look anything like my picture right now because I look like I'm at home. And anyway, it is just a sweet little quick read, but it's filled with so much of my advice and all my sayings and all the commonly asked questions that all of my clients have kind of asked me over the years. Again, I've been a therapist for like 8 years. I've been a coach for 2. It's $15. Probably the best $15 you spend all year. I'm just kidding. But it's totally worth it and an easy read and something you can keep at hand while you're trying to navigate these relationships. Because the group is great, but sometimes you might just need something to kind of like remind you that like, hey, this is like a collection of like 100+ people in this one little book and the best advice around all the situations. So just saying. You can get this. I will post the link in the announcement section, so you have an opportunity to get that if you feel like you want it. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. Please, again, connect with me and chat with me. If you want to schedule your breakthrough call, you know where to find me. And I bid you adieu. Bye-bye.